In this video, I'm going to show you 13 different methods that you can use to save battery life on your iPad Pro. So if your iPad battery is draining super quickly, then this video is going to help. Now, the first thing you need to do is just head over to your iPad home screen, click on the settings icon down here. From the left-hand navigation, scroll all the way down to privacy. Click on location services at the top, come down to system services. And what you're going to do is just toggle off all of these options inside of here. The only ones that we're going to leave on is Find My iPad and Emergency Calls SOS. Everything else, we don't really need this, so we can turn it off. So go ahead and make sure all of these are disabled. If there is anything that you want to keep on that's important for you, then obviously keep it enabled. Then once you've done that, we're going to come back over to the settings menu, come over to display and brightness. And for the brightness, you want to set this somewhere between 75 to 100%. Obviously, the less brightness you have here, the better your battery life is going to be. So I usually keep mine around about 3/4. For the appearance, you need to select dark mode for the best battery life. If you have light mode selected, then it's going to use more obviously brightness for certain areas of the screen. So I'd recommend keeping this set to dark for the best battery life. Then come down to auto lock, and you need to ensure this is set to 2 minutes like so. Then come back over to display and brightness. From the left hand side, come down to battery, and from here make sure you have low power mode enabled. That's going to also apply some optimizations to help with your battery life. Also, if you have an Apple Pencil, make sure you don't leave this connected onto the device like so. If you always have your pencil just stuck to the iPad like I do here, then this is going to constantly drain your battery and pretty quickly. So I'd recommend just leaving this detached and only attaching the pencil when you actually need to charge it. Then come back into the left-hand navigation and scroll up to Bluetooth. If you're not using Bluetooth currently, then we can disable this also. Come down to General and click Software Update. Then from here, make sure you're running the latest version of iOS. Sometimes new firmware can improve performance and things like that, so it's always worth making sure you're fully up to date. Then come back over to the General page, come down to AirDrop, and you want to make sure this is set to receiving off. The only time you should enable AirDrop is when you want to airdrop something to yourself, and then we can just turn it on. But most of the time you want to leave this set to receiving off. So another thing that we can disable is taking phone calls via your iPad. So most of the time we only need to take and make calls on our phones. So there's no real need to also have this on our iPad. So to disable this feature, come back over to the General tab, come down to AirPlay and Handoff, and you just want to make sure Handoff is turned off here. Then we're going to come back over to Settings, back inside of General, come down to Background App Refresh and select this. And if you've got low power mode selected, then this will be disabled anyway. But if you're not in low power mode, then either disable this option, or you can just go through each of the apps individually and you can disable which ones you don't need refreshing in the background. So to give you an example of what this feature actually does, let's take Instagram for example. If you have background app refresh turned on, then it's always going to be looking for new content in the background, regardless of whether you have the app open or not. So the next time you do open the Instagram app, it's always going to be able to deliver you new content without the need of kind of pulling down the screen and refreshing the content manually. So for most of these, we can definitely safely turn off this app refresh. Then the last thing you need to do is come back over to this left-hand navigation, scroll up to notifications. And then from here, select which apps can deliver notifications. Now, basically, the more apps you have delivering you notifications, the quicker your battery is going to go down. So I'd recommend disabling as many of these as you can. It's also going to affect your battery life when your iPad is idle. And obviously, when you get notifications pop up, it's going to turn your screen on and waste your battery. That's another reason why we should disable as many of these as possible. So just go into which one you want to disable. And then at the top here, next to allow notifications, just make sure this is switched off. And that's it guys. By following all of the steps in this video, that should have now improved your iPad battery life. If you did find this video helpful, then please consider dropping a like and subscribing.